The message arrived at 3:11 p.m. 3 sentences. 3 bullets delivered straight to my heart. Never show your face here again. Don't text us. We're done. Mom, no explanation. No hesitation. No love. Just an execution notice from the woman who was supposed to protect me. My name is Hazel Monroe. And at 27 years old, I learned the most brutal truth. Sometimes the people who raised you are the very ones sharpening the knife. That text popped up while I was wrapping up a meeting with the CEO of a major architecture firm. My biggest career moment yet. I should have been shaking hands celebrating. Instead, I excused myself and locked into a bathroom stall, staring at my screen as though reading my own obituary. Done? With who, me? The daughter who paid their rent? Their bills? Their everything? But I didn't cry. Not yet. See, tears are a luxury for those who still believe they're loved. 4 hours earlier. My morning began like every other, rushing out of my tiny studio apartment. Skipping breakfast because half my salary always went to family emergencies. My younger brother. Leo had just temporarily borrowed another $200 last week. He needed student supplies. Funny how those supplies always looked suspiciously like motorcycle upgrades on his Instagram. My mom, Vanessa, called daily with a new catastrophe. Hazel, we need help with the property taxes. Hazel, the weeds are taking over the backyard. I need new equipment. Hazel, your brother's phone broke. He needs a new one for school. School? Leo dropped out 2 years ago, but I kept paying. Why? Because I was the strong one, the responsible one, the replacement parent. The morning of the text, I sent $1,800 to cover the electric bill she said was overdue. She cried, told me I was her savior, yet that same evening, I was disowned. Standing outside my own family after work, I drove to their house, my childhood home, desperate for answers. When I turned onto the street, I saw a row of parked cars, cousins, aunties, neighbors, a party I wasn't invited to. Warm lights glowed through the windows, silhouettes laughing, eating, drinking. The sounds of clinking dishes and music floated out like a taunt. Then my phone buzzed again. Leo posted a story. A group selfie. Wine glasses raised. Family night? When you remove the toxic people, life gets peaceful. The word toxic pressed against my throat like barbed wire. Mom stood beside Leo, arm wrapped around him, smiling wider than I remembered her smiling at me. Ever. I sat quietly in my car. Engine off, forgotten, uninvited, a stranger outside a home. I funded. That's when the first tear tried to fall, but I wiped it away. They didn't get to see me break. Not anymore. The truth sharpens itself the next day. I did something I never do. I called in sick, and I started investigating. I scrolled deeper into Leo's social media. Months of parties, balloons, caterers, new outfits, all in my home. All paid by me. But then came the real punch. A tagged photo from 6 weeks ago. A fancy dinner. Caption, celebrating mom's new business. So proud. Wait, what business? I kept scrolling, heart pounding harder with each swipe. A post from my Aunt Denise. So happy Vanessa finally owns the Monroe estate outright. Monroe estate. Our house. The one Grandpa left to me in his will. The only inheritance he intended to secure my future, so I would never struggle like my mother once did. I'd been told probate was still processing. Lawyers were handling delays, but the deed was already transferred. To her behind my back. While using my money to maintain the property, my breathing stopped. Had I really been funding them to steal what was mine? My therapist once told me, ignorance is rarely peaceful. It's just the quiet before the betrayal. Well, betrayal arrived loudly. The message that ended everything. Hours after discovering the deed transfer, Mom finally explained. In her own cold way. Vanessa, Leo deserves the house. You're never here. You're selfish. We've decided you're not part of this family anymore. Selfish? Me, I'd sacrificed everything for them. But in their eyes, I wasn't useful anymore. So I typed back the only words I could manage, with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. No problem. 2 words. 2 words holding back a hurricane. 2 words that said, if I'm done, then you're done too. The moment a victim becomes a weapon, sometimes a breaking point is really a beginning point. I opened my laptop, pulled up my bank statements, my receipts, my proof, and the numbers made me dizzy. 41,670 over 2 years. All to keep them comfortable while I suffocated. Rent payments? Groceries? Credit card debt I covered for Leo? Car repairs? Taxes? Vacations disguised as family emergencies? I had been their ATM. And the ATM just received a notice. Account closed. But then, buried in those statements, a wire transfer from the estate lawyer. To Mom's account, 2 months ago. My stomach dropped. They hadn't just stolen my home. They'd stolen my inheritance outright, and that was a criminal offense. The line between family drama and felony had officially been crossed. I looked in the mirror, eyes red, voice steady. I finally understood. I wasn't being removed from the family. I was being freed from a prison I didn't know I lived in. If they wanted a war, fine. But I wasn't going to fight fair. I'd spent years giving them everything. Now I would take back what was mine. And karma? She'd walk beside me. The next morning, I woke up with a strange kind of calm. Anger would have been louder. Rage would have been obvious. But what I felt was something different. Like my soul had finally flipped a switch labeled, enough. I called the estate attorney first. The woman on the line hesitated when I said my name. That pause told me everything. They knew exactly who I was, and they knew they had screwed me. I asked one question. Who authorized the deed transfer of the Monroe estate? Another pause. Papers shuffling. A sharp inhale. It says here, your signature. Digitally verified. My heart stuttered. My signature? I had never signed anything. I asked for a copy. She emailed it instantly. There it was. My name. My initials. Perfectly forged. The betrayal suddenly had fingerprints. My family's fingerprints. The attorney tried to rush me off the call, saying everything was fully legal, but her nervous voice cracked. I saved every document, every email, screenshotted every bit of proof. They thought I would stay quiet. They had no idea who they were dealing with now. I drove to the house. My house. The property I grew up running barefoot across. The property Grandpa told me would always be my safe place. When I arrived, a truck was parked out front unloading new furniture, expensive stuff. The kind I could never afford while paying their bills. Leo swaggered out with sunglasses on, shouting at the mover to be careful with the Italian leather. His new motorcycle gleamed in the driveway. 2 more expensive bikes were next to it. I wondered how many months of my rent payments those cost. He noticed me and his smile vanished. What are you doing here? He snapped. My name is still on the will, I said calmly. This is still my home. Leo scoffed like he owned the world. Not anymore. Mom said you're not family. You're just a burden removed. A burden. That word hit harder than any slap. The front door opened. Mom stepped out wearing a brand new dress, hair styled like she was auditioning to be the queen of fake royalty. Her lips curled into a bitter smirk, as if my existence annoyed her. You're trespassing, Hazel, she said. Leave before I call the police. My jaw clenched, but my voice stayed cool. Funny, I paid this year's property taxes. Does the sheriff know you're evicting the person funding this entire household? She flinched. just a flicker, but then rolled her eyes. Enough with the martyr act. Leo deserves this home. He's the one who stays. You left us. To build a career, to survive, to provide for them, but none of that mattered. They only wanted the daughter they could drain, not the woman who stood up. Leo stepped closer, chest puffed. You heard her. Get out. And don't come crawling back when no one else wants you. Not once did Mom defend me. Not once did she question the cruelty in his voice. I looked between them, my biological family, now strangers laughing behind locked doors, and I felt the last thread snap. My heart didn't break, it hardened. I took one slow step backwards, then another. No yelling, no tears, no goodbye. Just a quiet promise in my chest. You will regret this. As I turned away, Leo called after me. Don't forget your little reply. No problem. Goodbye forever, sis. I didn't look back. If I had, they would have seen the spark in my eyes, the one that meant I was done losing. Back at my car, I breathed out one long exhale, steadying the fire inside me. They thought they had won. They thought I would vanish. But they forgot something important. I was the one who funded their victory. I drove straight to the bank that afternoon, froze every card, every transfer, canceled the automatic bill payments I set up. Then I called the utility companies. Everything in my name was shut off immediately. If they wanted independence from me, congratulations. They could start by paying their own damn bills. My phone lit up minutes later. Mom, what did you do? The power company just called. Leo, you're going to pay for this. Turn it back on now. More messages followed. Threats, insults, begging. Voice calls, all ignored. Then the sweetest text of all. Mom, without you, we can't afford anything. Oh, the irony. I typed one single line and hit send. Not my problem. Hours passed. No more notifications. Silence. The kind they had demanded. Night fell, and for the first time in years, I slept without worrying about them. The next day, they escalated. Leo posted online. Beware of snakes who pretend to be family. Hazel betrayed us. Dozens of comments from relatives who never lifted. A finger for me. How could she? Ungrateful. Poor Vanessa. Lies spread fast. Faster than the truth ever could. But I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I was building something much bigger than sympathy. The real storm arrived by mail 3 days later. A letter from the county clerk confirming what I already knew. Forgery. Fraud. Felony-level property theft. All I needed now was to push. I went to a lawyer. A real one. Not the one they manipulated. He reviewed everything. The forged signature, the illegal transfer, the exploitation of funds. This is a solid case, he said confidently. If we file this lawsuit, your mother and brother could face prison. Are you prepared for that? Prepared? No? Determined? Absolutely. They made their choice, I said. Now they can live with the consequences. I signed the documents. This time with my real signature, the one that would burn everything they stole to ashes. As I walked out of the office, the sun was setting, but for me, the day was just beginning. Karma had finally clocked in, and she was coming with a vengeance. People assume revenge is loud, screaming, chaos, police sirens. But the deadliest revenge is quiet. It begins with silence and ends with everyone hearing the truth all at once. After filing the lawsuit, I didn't message my mother or Leo. I didn't warn them. I just watched from a distance as their perfect little life began to rot. The electricity was gone. No more internet. Cars they couldn't afford to fuel sat useless in the driveway. The house, my house, looked darker every night. One evening, while scrolling through my feeds, I saw Leo posting from a friend's apartment. A picture of a dimly lit living room, the caption whining, "Hard times. People abandon you when you need them most." The comments were overflowing with pity, as if he hadn't spent the past 2 years leeching off me. And then I saw a comment that made my eyebrows lift. A guy named Eric wrote, "Didn't you just buy 2 new bikes?" Leo replied instantly, "Those are investments." I nearly choked on laughter. Mom also posted a melodramatic message. "Trust is fragile." I thought raising a daughter meant having support. No mention of forgery. No mention of kicking me out. Victims. That's what they wanted the world to see. Meanwhile, the legal process had begun. My lawyer sent a letter demanding an immediate investigation into the fraudulent property transfer. If they didn't comply, the case would move to criminal court. I knew what would happen next. Panic. It didn't take long. 2 mornings later, I received the first desperate call. "Mom. Hazel. We need to talk." I stared at the phone vibrating in my hand. Once upon a time, I would have answered right away, terrified to disappoint her. Now, I let it ring out, then again, and again. I let her feel every second of the abandonment she forced onto me. The voicemails were frantic. "Please pick up. I think there's been a misunderstanding. We can fix this as a family. You're making a mistake." Funny, she wasn't saying that when she tossed me aside like garbage. Leo tried to. "All right, joke's over. Turn the utilities back on and we'll forget this. We'll give you some of your stuff from the house. Happy?" Then the real face slipped out. "If we go down, you're coming with us. Remember that." I laughed. They still thought they had leverage. Days passed. Notices began appearing. On their front door, debt collectors, utility shut-off warnings, and finally, a legal summons. That same night, the phone rang again. I expected screaming. Instead, the voice on the line was shaky. "Hazel." "Please," Mom whispered. "We're scared. They're saying we could lose everything." "You already did," I said calmly. "You lost me." She tried to guilt me, like always. She talked about how she gave me life, how she did her best. "You stole everything Grandpa left me," I reminded her. "You forged my signature. You used my money. And when you were done draining me, you threw me away." Silence. Long. Heavy. Then, "I only did what was necessary to support your brother," she said. There it was, the truth she never admitted until now. "He's your golden boy," I said. And I was just a tool. "Leo is still young," she snapped back, the old bitterness returning. "You can take care of yourself. He needs help." "He needs consequences," I replied. "And so do you." She screamed, "You ungrateful child, after everything I sacrificed." I hung up. A familiar ache pulsed in my chest. Not sadness. Shock that I ever believed she loved me equally. That night, I cried, but not because I wanted them back. I cried for the years I wasted trying to earn a place in a family that never valued me. The next knock on my door came a week later. It wasn't Mom. It wasn't Leo. It was Aunt Denise. The same woman who had once told me, "Your brother needs opportunities more than you do." She stood in my doorway acting like she suddenly cared. "We're all worried," she lied. "Your mother is a wreck. The stress is unbearable. Don't you think this has gone far enough?" I stared at her blankly. "Where were you," I asked, "when they kicked me out, when they stole from me?" She opened her mouth, then shut it. No excuse, just manipulation, disguised as concern. "You should forgive them," she said. "Family is all you have." I shook my head with a tired smile. Family is what protects you. They are not family." She left with a huff, muttering that I was a cold-hearted girl. If protecting myself meant being cold, then ice was my new favorite temperature. The court date arrived faster than they expected. On the day of the hearing, my mother and brother walked in looking nothing like the proud family from their selfies. They wore cheap clothes, probably sold half their stuff, and their faces were hollow from stress. Leo glared at me like I betrayed him. Mom looked at me with big, glossy eyes, trying one last time to weaponize pity. But the judge didn't care about tears. He cared about the law. My lawyer presented the forged signature, bank records, text messages, proof of financial exploitation, proof of lies. Every detail of their betrayal became public record, their secrets exposed under the courtroom lights. When the judge asked Leo if he signed my name, he tried to deny it, but the panic in his voice erased any doubt. The judge wasn't amused. "This is a felony," he said sternly, "and I am strongly recommending prosecution." Mom gasped like she'd been stabbed. Leo went pale. Consequences. Finally. The ruling was swift. The deed was revoked. The property returned to me. All financial damages to be reimbursed. They had 60 days to leave the house, my house, and repay every stolen dollar. If they failed to do so, they would go to jail. Mom collapsed into the courtroom bench, sobbing uncontrollably. Leo punched the table, screaming curses at me. But their pain didn't bring me joy. It brought closure. As they were escorted out, Mom turned to me, her voice barely a whisper. "We're all we have, Hazel," she begged. "Don't do this." I met her eyes. There was no hate, just a truth she needed to hear. "No, you chose him," I said softly. "Now you can keep him." She reached out as if I might take her hand. I didn't. They walked away alone, and I exhaled the heaviest breath of my life. Not out of victory, but freedom. After the court ruling, I didn't rush to the house. I didn't care to see their misery. I had already spent too many years watching their needs swallow mine whole. Instead, I focused on rebuilding my life, a life not measured in sacrifices. I worked late hours at the architecture firm. My boss noticed. Soon I was leading projects I used to only dream about. I upgraded from my cramped studio to a spacious apartment with tall windows and a balcony where the morning sun poured in. For the first time in my life, I bought groceries without checking my balance. My phone didn't buzz with demands. Silence became peace. 2 months passed quietly. Then one evening, my lawyer called. They vacated the property today. Keys are ready for pickup, just like that. After years of being their provider, I was finally the owner of what was mine. The next morning, I drove out to the house, no longer as a desperate daughter begging for love, but as the rightful heir reclaiming her legacy. The yard was a mess. Overgrown weeds, dead plants, trash bins overflowing. The front window was cracked. They didn't treat the house like a home. They treated it like a trophy they never earned. A neighbor waved politely. "Glad you're back," she said. "We missed seeing you around." That simple comment almost melted something inside me. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside to a place full of ghosts. The walls were scuffed and filthy. Food stains on the floors, broken furniture shoved into corners. They had stripped the house of its warmth, the warmth I once believed came from family. I walked room to room, remembering a childhood that probably felt better in memory than reality. My old bedroom door still had my name stickered on it, but half the letters were peeled off. Only "Hey" remained, like the house was laughing at everything we'd endured. In the master bedroom closet, I found something unexpected. A dusty box with my name scribbled on top. It looked untouched for years. I opened it gently. Inside were childhood drawings. A necklace Grandpa gave me. Photos of me at school plays, birthdays, graduations. Smiles, real ones, my throat tightened. They had kept this? Or forgotten it? Hard to know which hurt more. I closed the box and set it aside. Not everything needed to be burned to move on. As I finished my inspection, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Mom stood there. Hair unkempt. Face exhausted. Clothes too big. She looked small, like all the pride she clung to had leaked out. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer. I simply stepped aside. She walked through the house slowly, like it was a museum of her failures. In the living room, she finally turned to me. "Everything fell apart after you left," she murmured. "Your brother, he's angry all the time. He can't find work. He blames me." "Maybe he's right." I said nothing. She continued, "I know what we did was wrong. I know I hurt you. But I was afraid. Of what?" I asked. "That you'd leave us behind," she whispered. I almost laughed. The irony tasted bitter. "You pushed me out," I said. "You made sure I felt unwanted." She clenched her fists. "I thought, if I gave Leo everything, he'd become someone great." "He didn't become great," I replied. "He became greedy. And you gave him the knife to cut me out." Her voice cracked. "I don't know how to fix this." "You can't," I said gently. "Some damage is permanent." She wiped tears with trembling hands. "I miss you. I miss the daughter who cared about me." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "She's still here," I said. "But she doesn't care blindly anymore." Mom nodded slowly, broken by truth. "Is there anything I can do?" she asked. There was a time I would have begged for her love. But that time was over. "Yes," I answered. "You can let me go." Her eyes widened, but she didn't argue. She nodded once, the acceptance painful. "I hope one day." "You can forgive me," she whispered. "Maybe," I replied. "But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting." She understood. Finally, Mom turned toward the door. Before she stepped out, she looked back. "I'm proud of you," she said. Even if I never showed it, she left. This time it wasn't abandonment. It was closure. I locked the door behind her. The silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. Later that evening, I stood in the backyard under the old oak tree where Grandpa used to sit with me. The wind rustled the leaves like applause. I looked up at the house, my house, and felt something I never expected. Peace. Not because I destroyed them, because I stopped destroying myself for them. I thought revenge meant making them hurt as much as I did. But real revenge was living better than the person they tried to break. I wasn't the family ATM anymore. I wasn't the background character anymore. I wasn't the unwanted daughter anymore. I was Hazel Monroe, the girl who finally chose herself. And this time, I wasn't saying no problem out of defeat. I was saying it with power. They lost a daughter. I found the woman I was meant to become. Move on, Hazel. Move forward. Grandpa's words echoed in the breeze, so I did, with my head high. With a home that was truly mine. With a future free from people who only loved what I could give. This wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning.